What do these zigzag white lines mean? No parking at any time. Parking allowed only for a short time. Sounding horns isn't allowed. Slow down to 20 miles per hour.
Welcome. What does this zigzag white lines mean? Oh, congratulations, well done. What does the zigzag white line mean? You're most welcome. No parking at any time. We should not park in here at any time. No parking at any time. And do you know the reason why we should not park in here? If we park in here, we will block the view of any pedestrian crossing the road, and also the driver will not be able to see the pedestrians. So that's why we should not park in here at any time.
What makes your tires illegal? If they are of different makes. If they have any large, deep cuts in the sidewall. If they have different tread patterns. If they were bought second hand.
What makes your tires illegal? If they are of different makes, if they have any large deep cuts in the sidewall, if they have different tread patterns, if they were bought second hand. So the right answer is if they have any large deep cuts in the sidewall. Guys, do you know what does sidewall mean? If they have large deep cuts in the sidewall. The sidewall of a tire. No. Sidewall of a tire. See, this is a sidewall. That's the sidewall of a tire. That's the sidewall. If they have any large deep cuts in the sidewall. Guys, could you please everyone just share the live and tap the screen with you? Thank you. Please everyone just share the live once.
You're turning right onto a dual carriageway. What should you do before emerging? Check that the central reservation is wide enough for your vehicle. Stop. Apply the parking brake and then select a low gear. Make sure that you leave enough room for a vehicle behind. Position your vehicle well to the left of the side road.
You're turning right onto a dual carriageway. What should you do before emerging? So if you want to turn right, what should you do before coming out? What should you do before emerging? Check that the central reservation is wide enough for your vehicle. So before you come out, you should check whether your vehicle, if that's your vehicle, you check whether your vehicle fits in here or not. So check that the central reservation is wide enough for your vehicle. What will you do if your vehicle is not fitting in the central reservation? What will you do in that situation? If your vehicle does not fit in here, then what will you do? Does anyone know the answer? If your vehicle does not fit in the central reservation, what will you do? You will have to wait. Yes, exactly. Wait for clear both sides. Exactly. You wait until there is no traffic on both sides. So that's why you check that the central reservation is wide enough for your vehicle.
What does this sign mean? No through road. T junction. Turn left ahead. Give way.
What does this sign mean? Guys, please use capital letters so I know. Use capital letters. Okay, so the answer is it's a T junction. It's a T junction.
A horse rider is in the left-hand lane approaching a roundabout. Where should you expect the rider to go? Straight ahead. In any direction. To the left. To the right.
A horse rider is in the left-hand lane approaching a roundabout. Where should you expect the rider to go? They can go in any direction, but why is the rider keeping in the left-hand lane? Why would the rider keep in the left-hand lane, the horse rider? Horse rider and cyclist will always keep in the left. Why? For their safety. For their safety, they will always keep in the left for safety. Well done, Apreet. And they could go in any direction. They're only keeping in the left for their safety. Right? You see, horse rider and cyclist, they will always keep to the left. Okay, like normally what happens when, okay, so if you look at this car, is in the right hand lane, the green one. Where is he going? He's either going, you see, he's going right, or he can go straight as well. But horse rider, they will always keep in the left. Why they will always keep in the left? And that's how they would travel inside the roundabout. Whether they're going here, or whether they're going straight, or even whether they're going right, they will always keep in the left. Horse rider and cyclists will always keep in the left for their safety. Horse rider is in the left-hand lane approaching a roundabout. Where should you expect the rider to go? Can go in any direction.
When will a new car need its first MOT test? When it's 5 years old. When it's 7 years old. When it's 1 year old. When it's 3 years old.
When will a new car need its first MOT test? This is talking about brand new car, okay? Brand new car. So if you got brand new car, the first 3 years you don't need to do an MOT test. You don't need to. Guys, do you know why we don't need to do MOT test the first 3 years? Does anyone know the reason? So there are 2 reasons for it. First, because it's a new car, it does not get damaged. It's a brand new car, exactly. Well done, Abdul Wahab. And second, you know, nearly all of the companies and all of the manufacturing companies, they give 3-year warranty. So if any parts gets damaged, they fix it for free. That's the second reason. So when will a new car need its first MOT test? When it's 3 years old. And when after 3 years, when you're doing MOT, it's MOT everywhere. You have to do an MOT every year.
Other drivers may sometimes flash their headlights at you. What's the official meaning of this signal? They are warning you of their presence. They are giving way to you. There's a fault with your vehicle. There's a radar speed trap ahead.
Other drivers may sometimes flash their headlights at you. What's the official meaning of this signal? They are warning you of their presence. Why would they warn us of their presence? What's the reason? Why would someone flash at you to let you know that they are there? What's the reason? Does anyone know? Why would they let you know of their presence? Why they would warn you of their presence? No, I'm in here, you don't forget. No. So if someone feels at risk, when someone feels at risk, so for example, if you're reversing and the person behind you thinks that you can't see him and he thinks that you are posing a danger, that's when they will either flash their headlights or they will use their horn to let you know that they are there or to warn you of their presence. So that's why they would use their flashlight, or they would either use their flashlight or use their horn to let you know that they are there. So other drivers may sometimes flash their headlights at you. What's the official meaning of this signal? They're warning you of their presence.
You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. When large vehicles are in the left and center lanes. When there's slow-moving traffic. When you can maintain a high speed.
You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right-hand lane? When there are lane closures. Guys, do you know what does it mean when there are lane closures? When there are lane closures. When there are lane closures. No, Ghazal, no. Other lane. When other lanes are closed because of an accident or no, not busy, no. When there are lane closures, like let me just show you a picture so you guys have better idea. Okay, so if you're towing a trailer, you see this lane is closed and this lane is closed. Can you use the right hand lane in this situation? Will you be able to use the right hand lane? You see, so that's when there are lane closures. So when you got lane closures in this situation, you can use the right hand lane. Amira, when there are lane closures, that's when you can use the right hand lane when you're towing a trailer. Why we cannot use the right hand lane when we're towing a trailer? Do you know why we cannot use the right hand lane when you're towing a trailer? Because when we're towing a trailer, it's the highest speed we are allowed is 60 miles. You know, when you're towing a trailer on a motorway, the highest speed is that you are allowed is 60 miles, and the right hand lane is an overtaking lane, and that's why we're not allowed to use the right hand lane. Exactly, so that's the answer would be your let me repeat the question. You're towing a trailer along a 3-lane motorway. When may you use the right hand lane? When there are lane closures.
As you approach a pelican crossing, the lights change to green. What should you do if older people are still crossing? Wave them to cross as quickly as they can. Wait patiently while they cross. Rev your engine to make them hurry. Flash your lights in case they haven't noticed you.
As you approach a pelican crossing, the lights change to green. What should you do if older people are still crossing? So if someone is crossing the road, what do? You wait. Allow them to cross the road. So what will you do? Wait patiently while they cross. Wait patiently while they cross.
Why should you look carefully for motorcyclists and cyclists at junctions? They may slow down to let you turn. They may want to turn into the side road. They might not see you turn. They are harder to see.
Why should you look carefully for motorcyclists and cyclists at junction? Why? Because they are harder to see. They are harder to see.
You're about to overtake a cyclist. Why should you leave them as much room as you would give to a car? The cyclist might be unsettled if you pass too near them. The cyclist might have to make a left turn. The cyclist might speed up. The cyclist might get off their bicycle.
You're about to overtake a cyclist. Why should you leave them as much room as you would give to a car? They might get unsettled. They might get unsettled, which means they might lose control. They might lose control. So they might be unsettled if you pass too near them. The cyclist might be unsettled if you pass too near them.
Why has the bus driver positioned the bus on the left? The bus needs extra room to get around the roundabout. In case the pedestrian wants to get on the bus. The sign on the roundabout is directing traffic to keep left. To get a better view of the roundabout.
Why has the bus driver positioned the bus on the left? If you look at the bus, see the light is signaling right, but why is he keeping to the left? So if you look at the bus, it's keeping to the left but indicating right. Why is he keeping to the left? Because the bus needs extra room to get around the roundabout. You see, so if the bus was here, it would not have much room to turn around. So he's keeping to the left, so he got more area to turn around. That's why he's keeping to the left. The bus needs extra room to get around the roundabout.
How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Face the oncoming traffic. Stay close to the carriageway. Stand on the hard shoulder. Keep your back to the traffic.
How should you position yourself when you use the emergency telephone on a motorway? Okay, face the oncoming traffic. Why would you face the oncoming traffic? Why would you face the oncoming traffic? Guys, make sure you know the reasons, okay? Reasons behind the answers are more important than the answer itself. So you should know the reason. So why are you facing the oncoming traffic? So you know what's happening on the road. You're facing the oncoming traffic, so you know what's happening. So for example, if someone loses control of their car, you should be able to see. Oh, well done, Tiger. So face the oncoming.
What should you do as you approach this overhead bridge? Find another route. This one is only for high vehicles. Be prepared to give way to large vehicles in the middle of the road. Move across to the right-hand side before going through. Move out to the center of the road before going through.
What should you do as you approach this overhead bridge? You're most welcome. What should you do as you approach this overhead bridge? Be prepared to give way to large vehicles in the middle of the road. Why would we give way to large vehicles? Why would large vehicle come in the middle of the road? Why would large vehicle come in the middle of the road? Because of the height of the bridge. See, because of the height of the bridge. No, they don't need extra room because, see, because of the height, they will be coming in the middle. Because of their height. So be prepared to give way to large vehicles in the middle.
You're driving on a motorway and have to slow down suddenly due to a hazard ahead. How can you warn drivers behind of the hazard? Flash your headlights. Sound your horn. Switch on your headlights. Switch on your hazard warning lights.
You're driving on a motorway and have to slow down suddenly due to hazard ahead. How can you warn drivers behind of the hazard? We use hazard warning lights. We use hazard warning lights to warn the traffic that's behind us. So switch on your hazard warning lights.
What does this sign mean? Bus station on the right. With flow bus lane. Contraflow bus lane. Give way to buses.
What does this sign mean? Okay, Birhan, Temi, you got it wrong. Benny, you got it wrong. Okay, who get confused in these two? Who gets confused in with flow and contraflow? Amira, that's wrong. UK Blessing, that's wrong. Okay, it's very easy. Just remember, do you know what the word contra means? Do you know the word contra? Do you know what does this word mean? C-O-N-T-R-A. The word contra. It means opposite. The word contra means opposite, okay? It means opposite. So whenever you see an arrow coming from the opposite direction, and then we know, in UK, do we drive in the right or left hand side? In UK, do we drive on the right or do we drive in the left? On which side do we drive? In UK, we drive in the left. So these are our lane, okay? So these two lanes are for normal traffic, and then we can see an arrow coming from opposite direction. So the bus is coming from the opposite direction, which is contraflow, opposite flow. So the bus is coming from the opposite direction. Does that make sense? If you just remember the word contra means opposite, then you will never get it wrong. If you just remember that. Okay, so that's, whenever you see this arrow, that would be contraflow. That's a contraflow bus lane. What does this sign mean? That's a contraflow bus lane.
You're following a lorry on a wet road. What should you do when spray makes it difficult to see the road ahead? Drop back until you can see better. Speed up and overtake quickly. Keep close to the lorry, away from the spray. Put your headlights on full beam.
One second, guys. You're following a lorry on a wet road. What should you do when spray makes it difficult to see the road ahead? What should you do? Slow down. So you drop back until you can see better. Drop back until you can see better.
You've just passed your driving test. What's the maximum authorized mass, ma'am, of any trailer that you can tow? 5,500 kilograms. 3,500 kilograms. 6,500 kilograms. 4,500 kilograms.
You have just passed your driving test. What's the maximum authorized mass of any trailer that you can tow? That's 3,500 kg. And guys, do you know what's this weight? What's this weight? This is the weight of the trailer plus whatever you're putting in the trailer. These both should not exceed more than 3,500 kg. So if you got a trailer, if you want to tow a trailer, you make sure, so if this is a trailer, you make sure this trailer, so for example, if this trailer is weighing 2,000 kg, if this trailer is weighing 2,000 kg, how much more weight can you put in this trailer? So if this trailer weighs 2,000 kg, how much more weight? Exactly 1,500. So the load plus the trailer, these both should not exceed more than 3,500 kg. Okay, if you got a small car, can you tow 3,500 kg load on that or not? So if you got a small car, can you tow 3,500 kg? No. So how would you know how much weight? You are allowed 3,500 kg, but how would you know how much weight your car can tow? From where can you find that out? From your vehicle handbook. Exactly. You can find the information in your vehicle handbook. The vehicle handbook will give you the information that how much weight your car can tow. So you can find the information from your vehicle handbook. Well done. So you just passed your driving test. What's the maximum authorized mass of any trailer that you can tow? That's 3,500 kg.
What does this sign mean? No cars. Cars only. No motorcycles. Motorcycles only.
What does this sign mean? So if it's a red O, 99% the answers will start from no. So if it's a red O means no. Okay, red O means no. So that's no. Red O means no. And if you look in here, we only got no motorcycles and no cars. So this is wrong and this is wrong, because as I said, 99% of the answers, when it's a red O, if it's a red circle, the answer will start from no. So either it's no cars or it's no motorcycle. If you look at the picture, that's a motorcycle. So that's why the right answer will be no motorcycle. In case if you get confused, then that's the easy way to find the answer. So whenever you see a red O, whatever it is, if you see a red O, the answer will start from no. So in here we go, no cars and no motorcycles. So that's the right answer, no motorcycles.
A cycle lane, marked by a solid white line, is in operation. What does this mean for car drivers? They may drive in the lane at any time. They may use the lane when necessary. They mustn't drive along the lane. They may park in the lane.
A cycle lane marked by a solid white line is in operation. What does it mean for car drivers? So if it's a solid line, if you look in here, it's a solid line. If it's a solid line, you should never cross it. But what about if this line is broken? If this is not a solid line, then what would have been the answer? If this was not a solid line, then what would have been the answer? If this was broken? Yes, they may use the lane when it's necessary or unavoidable, then that would have been the right answer. So, but if it's a solid line like this, you should never cross it. So they must not drive along the lane. Why? Because it's a solid line.
How should you approach the zebra crossing? Be ready to slow down or stop to allow pedestrians to cross. Slow down and wave the pedestrians across. Speed up to get past the crossing. Sound your horn to warn the pedestrians.
How should you approach the zebra crossing? How should you approach the zebra crossing? Yeah, the answer will be ready to slow down or stop to allow pedestrians to cross. Be ready to slow down or stop to allow pedestrians.
You're driving along a wet road. How can you tell if your vehicle's tires are losing their grip on the surface? The steering will feel very heavy. The steering will feel very light. The engine noise will increase. The engine will stall.
You're driving along a wet road. How can you tell if your vehicle tires are losing their grip on the surface? The steering will feel very light. The steering will feel very light. Why will the steering feel very light? For what's the reason? Why would your steering feel very light? Because your tires are not touching the road. Because there is water between your tires and the road. That's why the steering is feeling very light. And guys, when will your steering feel very heavy? When will your steering feel very heavy? Does anyone know any situation where the steering will feel very heavy? No. When you have underinflated tires. When you have underinflated tires, that's when your steering will feel very heavy, okay? So you're driving along a wet road. How can you tell if your vehicle's tires are losing their grip on the surface? The steering will feel very light.
What shape are traffic signs giving orders?
What shape are traffic sign giving orders? Okay. So this is order. That's orders. This is, guys, do you know what's this sign called? This is direction sign. This is direction, this is information, and this is hazard warning. So orders, direction, information, and hazard warning. That's a sign giving
You're
orders.
driving a friend's children home from school. They are both under 14 years old. Who's responsible for making sure they wear a seat belt or approved child restraint where required? You, the driver. An adult passenger. Your friend. The children.
You're driving a friend's children home from school. They are both under 14 years old. Who is responsible for making sure they wear a seatbelt or approved child restraint where required? It will be you, the driver. But if someone is over 14 years old, who will be responsible? You see in here it says under 14, but if someone is over 14 years old, then who is responsible? If it's over 14, then that's not the driver's responsibility anymore. Up to 14 years of age, that's driver's responsibility. Over 14, then that's not driver's responsibility. That's the responsibility of that person. Okay, so if it's over 14, the responsibility is on the whoever is there, the passenger's responsibility. Under 14 is driver's responsibility. Over 14 is the person's own responsibility. Okay, so that's you, the driver.
You're turning left from a main road into a side road. What should you do if there's a pedestrian on the pavement waiting to cross the side road? Flash your lights to encourage the pedestrian to cross. Sound your horn to let the pedestrian know you're there. Carry on turning into the side road. Wait and give way to the pedestrian.
You're turning left from a main road into a side road. What should you do if there is a pedestrian on the pavement waiting to cross the side road? Obviously, you should allow him to cross the road. Wait and give way to the pedestrian. Wait and give way to the pedestrian.
You're driving towards a zebra crossing. What should you do if a person in a wheelchair is waiting to cross? Be prepared to stop. Continue on your way. Wave to the person to wait. Wave to the person to cross.
You're driving towards a zebra crossing. What should you do if a person in a wheelchair is waiting to cross? What do you do? Be prepared to stop. Be prepared to stop. You must stop to allow him cross.
What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? Leave dipped headlights and fog lights switched on. Leave dipped headlights switched on. Leave parking lights switched on. Leave main beam headlights switched on.
What should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? Guys, do you know what it means? So when it's foggy and you want to park your vehicle outside your house and you're going home, you're leaving your vehicle there for, let's say, for a few hours, you're leaving it there and you're going home. What will you do? Leave parking lights switched on. So if a question arises like, would that not kill the battery if you're leaving your parking lights switched on for so long? The answer is no, because parking lights does not take that much power, so it will not kill the battery. And why would we leave parking lights switched on? What's the reason? Why should we leave parking lights switched on? So it could be easily seen, because when it's foggy we cannot see properly, and if you don't leave your parking lights on, the other drivers that's passing next to your vehicle, they will not be able to see your car. That's why you leave your parking lights switched on. Does anyone remember what's the other situation where you have to leave your parking light switched on? So one is when it's foggy. Does anyone remember any other situation where you have to leave your parking light switched on? When you're parking your vehicle at night and the speed limit of the road is over 30 miles. Over 30 miles. So if you're parking your vehicle at night on a road where the speed limit is more than 30 miles, that's when you should leave your parking light switched on. Okay, so what should you do if you park on the road when it's foggy? The answer is leave parking lights switched on.
You're reversing into a side road. When would your vehicle be the greatest hazard to passing traffic? When the front of your vehicle swings out. Just before you begin to maneuver. After you've entered the side road. After you've completed the maneuver.
You are reversing into a side road. When would your vehicle be the greatest hazard to passing traffic? Guys, this is one of the most common questions that comes in the test. This is one of the most common questions. The answer is when the front of your vehicle swings out. But guys, do you understand what it means when the front of your vehicle swings out? When the front of your vehicle swings out. You're reversing into a side road. When would your vehicle be the greatest hazard to passing traffic? When the front of your vehicle swings out. Okay guys, make sure whenever a question is asked, you should be able to know the answer. So if you want to park your vehicle in here, so that's your vehicle, you start it from here. As you're reversing, the front of your vehicle will swing out into the road, isn't it? So if you're parking here, if you're reversing, what will happen? The front of your vehicle will swing out like this. Can you see that? And that could be a greatest hazard to any traffic that's passing on your right. So that's what it means when the front of your vehicle swings out. If you look in here, you see the front of your vehicle swings out. Does that make sense? Yeah. So you're reversing into a side road. When would your vehicle be the greatest hazard to passing traffic? When the front of your vehicle swings out. Okay.
Why must you take great care when emerging from this junction? The curbs are high. The view is restricted. The road surface is poor. The footpath is narrow.
Why must you take great care when emerging from this junction? If you look in here, see you cannot see the road, and same on the right, because your view is restricted. Your view is restricted. Why must you take great care when emerging from this junction? Because your view is restricted.
For how long is an MOT certificate normally valid? 30,000 miles. 10,000 miles. 3 years after the date it was issued. 1 year after the date it was issued.
For how long is an MOT certificate normally valid? No, look, 3 years is when you get a new car. So when you get a new car, for the first 3 years you do not need an MOT. That's a different question, okay? Don't get mixed up. When you're doing an MOT, it's valid for 12 months. When you do an MOT, it's valid for 12 months, which is 1 year. So when you do an MOT, it's valid for 1 year, okay? But when you're getting a brand new car, you do not need an MOT for the first 3 years. That's a complete different question. When you buy a new car for the first 3 years, you do not need an MOT. But when you do an MOT, that's valid for 1 year. 1 year after the date it was issued. For how long is an MOT certificate normally valid? 1 year after the date it was issued.
You're about to reverse into a side road. What should you do if a pedestrian is waiting to cross behind your car? Wave to the pedestrian to stop. Give way to the pedestrian. Sound your horn to warn the pedestrian. Reverse before the pedestrian starts to cross.
You're about to reverse into a side road. What should you do if pedestrian is waiting to cross behind your car? Allow him to cross the road. So what do? Give way to the pedestrian. You should give way to the pedestrian. Guys, could you please everyone just share the live once? Please everyone just share the live once, and if you did not follow me, please do follow, guys. If any one of you did not follow me yet, please do follow.
How should you use the lanes on a motorway? Use the lane that has the least traffic. Keep to the left-hand lane unless you're overtaking. Stay in one lane until you reach your exit. Overtake using the lane that's clearest.
How should you use the lanes on a motorway? How should we use the lanes on a motorway? We should always use the left-hand lane. We should always use the left-hand lane. Okay, so we should always use the left-hand lane. If we're not using the left-hand lane, so for example, if you look in here, see there is no traffic. If we start driving in here, is there any penalty? So if this lane is empty, and we start driving in here, is there any penalty or anything? The answer is yes. So if there is no traffic on your left and you're using the right hand lane, there is £100 fine plus 3 penalty points as well. £100 fine plus 3 penalty points as well. Okay, so make sure when you guys pass your license, you always keep to the left unless you are not overtaking. Sorry. So how should you use the lanes on a motorway? Keep to the left-hand lane unless you are overtaking.
What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions? Be ready to steer sharply. Brake firmly and quickly. Use side lights only. Brake gently in plenty of time.
What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions? What should you do when you're driving in snowy conditions? Should brake gently in plenty of time. Brake gently in plenty of time so your vehicle does not skid.
Why should you test your brakes after this hazard? You'll have just crossed a long bridge. You'll be on a slippery road. You'll be going down a long hill. Your brakes will be wet.
Why should you test your brakes after this hazard? See, what does this hazard mean? It means water across the road. Water across the road. And when you go through water, what will happen? Your brakes will be wet. When you go through water, your brakes will be wet.
What should you do if your mobile phone rings while you're driving or riding? Stop immediately. Answer it immediately. Pull up at the nearest curb. Leave it until you have stopped in a safe place.
What should you do if your mobile phone rings while you're driving or riding? What should you do if your mobile phone rings while you driving or riding? You should leave it until you have stopped in a safe place. Leave it until you have stopped.
What should you do when you move off from behind a parked car? Look around before moving off. Give a signal after moving off. Look around after moving off. Use the exterior mirrors only.
What should you do when you move off from behind a parked car? You should look around before moving off. Look around before moving off.
How should you dispose of a used vehicle battery? Put it in the dustbin. Take it to a local authority disposal site. Bury it in your garden. Leave it on wasteland.
How should you dispose of a used vehicle battery? How should you dispose of a used vehicle battery? You should take it to a local authority disposal site. Take it to a local authority. Dispose.
What should you do if a tire bursts while you're driving? Brake as quickly as possible. Continue on at a normal speed. Pull on the parking brake. Pull up slowly at the side of the road.
What should you do if a tire bursts while you're driving? You should pull up slowly at the side of the road. Pull up slowly at the side of the road.
You're following a large vehicle. Why should you stay a safe distance behind it? You'll keep out of the wind better. You'll help the large vehicle to stop more easily. You'll be able to corner more quickly. You'll give the driver a chance to see you in their mirrors.
You're following a large vehicle. Why should you stay a safe distance behind it? Yeah, you will give the driver a chance to see you in their mirrors. If you're too close to them, they will not be able to see you in their mirrors. So that's why you should keep a safe distance so they could easily see you in their mirrors.
What does this sign mean? Direction to park and ride car park. Parking area for cars and coaches. Direction to bus and coach park. No parking for buses or coaches.
What does this sign mean? Is there anyone that get confused in this one? Walaikum salam. Money, that's not the answer. Direction to bus and coach park, that's not the right answer. Jamilola, that's not the right answer. You see, what we are studying, Ali, it's very easy. Look, what we are studying. Are we doing a car license, or are we doing bus license or coach license? Which one we doing? Are we doing bus license, coach license, or car license? Which one are we practicing? We're practicing car. So is it possible that they will bring us a sign for bus and coach car park? Guys, do you think, is it possible they will ask us question about bus and coach? No. They cannot ask us question about bus and coach park. So that's why you should never even think of this answer, okay? And this answer is, you see, P means for parking plus ride as well. So this is direction to a car park where you can park your vehicle and plus you can get a ride as well. So this is direction to a parking where you can park your vehicle and plus you can get public transport from there. So park and ride. Park plus you can get a ride as well. So direction to park and ride car park. Is that clear? So what does this sign mean? Direction to park and plus ride car park. Okay.
What's the legal minimum insurance cover you must have to drive on public roads? Third party only. Third party, fire and theft. Personal injury cover. Comprehensive.
What's the legal minimum insurance cover you must have to drive on public roads? That's third party only.
What does this sign mean? Wait at the crossroads. Give way to trams. Wait at the barriers. Give way to farm vehicles.
What does this sign mean? What does this sign mean? Give way to trams. Give way to trams. Guys, and which crossing, which level crossing will have this cross sign on top? Is it level crossing with gate or without gate? Is it with gate or without gate? This is without gate. This is level crossing without gate. And guys, do you know what does this sign mean? Do you know what does this sign mean? This is also for level crossing. This is also for level crossing without gate. Level crossing without gate, okay? This one and these two are both the same thing, okay? So level crossing without gate and level crossing without gate. These both are level crossing without gate, and then with gate, that this is with gate. This is with gate. That's with gate. So what does this sign mean? Give way to trams.
Why is it a good idea to plan your journey to avoid busy times? Your journey time will be longer. You'll have a more stressful journey. It will cause more traffic congestion. You'll have an easier journey.
Salam, salam. Why is it a good idea to plan your journey to avoid busy times? Avoid busy times, which means you're not traveling when it's busy. That's a wrong answer. Avoid busy time. You're avoiding busy time, which means you're not traveling when it's busy. So you're traveling when it's quiet. And when you travel when it's quiet, what will happen? You will have an easier journey. You will have an easier journey. Wa alaikum salam. You will have an easier journey. Eli, that's a wrong answer. You will have.
How should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in an emergency? Apply the parking brake to reduce the stopping distance. Brake promptly and firmly until you've stopped. Brake normally but grip the steering wheel tightly. Keep pumping the foot brake to prevent skidding.
How should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in an emergency? Okay. Brake promptly and firmly until you have stopped. Promptly means without wasting any time, as soon as possible. So brake promptly and firmly until you have stopped. Guys, do you know what does anti-lock brakes mean? Anti-lock brakes mean, see the braking system that we had before. So whenever you were using your brakes, your steering would get locked. So when you were using brakes, you couldn't use your steering. You couldn't change direction of your vehicle. That was the system that we had before. But with anti-lock brakes, anti-lock means that your wheels or your tires does not get locked. So when you're using the brakes, you can also use your steering as well. So in the anti-lock braking system, you can use your steering while you're using the brakes. So when you're braking, you can change direction of your vehicle as well. That's what anti-lock means. Anti-lock means that your wheels does not get locked, which means you can change direction of your vehicle. Guys, did you get that? So in anti-lock braking system, your steering does not get locked. And that's why it's called anti-lock, because your steering does not get locked. So how should you use anti-lock brakes when you need to stop in an emergency? Brake promptly and firmly until you have stopped.
Why are place names painted on the road surface? To warn of oncoming traffic. To restrict the flow of traffic. To prevent you from changing lanes. To help you select the correct lane in good time.
Why are place names painted on the road surface? Why are places names painted on the road surface? The answer is to help you select the correct lane in good time. Guys, do you understand what it really means, this one? Why are names painted? Why are place names painted on the road surface? Well done, to help you select the correct lane in good time.
What's the speed limit for the car towing the caravan on this road? 50 miles per hour. 40 miles per hour. 70 miles per hour. 60 miles per hour.
Okay, 60. No. So guys, first we should find out whether it's which road is this. If you look in here, we can see there is central reservation in between. So whenever a road got central reservation, it's either dual carriageway or it's motorway. So whenever you see the central reservation, this is the central reservation. So whichever road got central reservation, it's either dual carriageway or it's motorway. And then how would we know if it's motorway or dual carriageway? How would we know if it's dual carriageway or motorway? If you look at the road signs, if you look at the traffic signs, what color is this? What color was that? Did you see the sign? It was blue. So if it's blue, it means it's motorway. It's motorway. So the speed limit on a motorway is normally 70 miles. The speed limit on a motorway is normally 70. But if a question comes about trailer or caravan, then it will be -10. Normally it's 70, but because they're asking about when you're towing a caravan, then it's -10. So 70 minus 10, it's 60.
Where would you expect to see these markers? On a motorway sign. On a railway bridge. On a diversion sign. On a heavy goods vehicle.
Green is dual carriageway. Where would you expect to see these markers? On a heavy goods vehicle. On a heavy goods vehicle. And why do we have these markers on a heavy goods vehicle? Why do we have these markers on a heavy goods vehicle? To be easily seen. So we can easily see it, especially at night time. It reflects light exactly, so we can easily see it at night. Yeah, so it can easily be seen. Where would you expect to see these markers? On a heavy goods
Who may
vehicle.
use Toucan crossings? Cyclists and pedestrians. Motorcyclists and cyclists. Only cyclists. Motorcyclists and pedestrians.
Who may use Toucan crossings? Who may use Toucan crossings? That's cyclists and pedestrians. Cyclists and pedestrians.
What will happen to your car when you drive up a steep hill? Overtaking will be easier. The engine will work harder. The steering will feel heavier. The high gears will pull better.
What will happen to your car when you drive up a steep hill? The engine will work harder. You put too much pressure on the engine. You put too much pressure on the engine, so the engine will work harder.
What does this sign mean? Contraflow system. Change to the left-hand lane. Leave at the next exit. One-way street.
What does this sign mean? Guys, if you look at this sign, it's not going to be always the same color, okay? It will be the same color, but it's not going to be the same shape as always, okay? Let me just show you some other signs. You see, it could be this shape, it could be like this, it could be, you see these there, it could be like this, it could be like that as well. So these are all, that's a contraflow signs, okay? These are all contraflow signs. What does this sign mean? That's a contraflow system. Contraflow